Okay, yep.
All right, thank you. Next, Alfred Avenue. I put this on there and Mr. Hamer could speak to as well. We have obviously, since we've been talking about this issue and some haven't been talking about it, but we've been talking about it, is that we've seen a lot of movement. They have taken down all the trees and cleared everything out. And I guess that's in response to us, the City Council of Englewood, bringing this topic up. And again, we have to pay attention to what's going on and how it's going to impact the folks that live over the Teaneck, Thompson, Decatur, Coolidge, and the Forest Avenue area. Because once they start or they impending construction and all these kinds of things, how it's going to impact them from a health, quality of life to many other things. So I just want to keep this out there and see, Mr. Bailey, I believe I had asked you and Mr. Volsey to look into what they're doing and what's going on with that. Do you have anything to report to us, or give us an update about what's going on over there, if you know of anything?
I did go by the site last week, actually myself, and saw some work being done. Beyond that, I don't have details on that and haven't had an opportunity to speak to Franz about it yet.
Right. Mr. Volsey?
Yeah, I've actually reached out to the engineering office at Teaneck. I haven't spoken to the city engineer, but I've spoken to the office and discussed my concerns regarding, drainage, sanitary, traffic issues, etc. My sense of it is, and again, it's just my sense from talking, discussing it with them, is they did have some concerns with the traffic as well. I don't know how much they pushed it during the hearings, but and one of the things that I'm definitely concerned about is on their plan, it shows an overflow of their storm system into our lines. And I brought that up to the engineering office, and they're essentially saying that they've spoken to the developer and told them that they have to get a permit from Englewood prior to doing that. So they're essentially pushing, that responsibility over to the developer, and the city and the board not taking responsibility for it. So right now, that's where we're at. I haven't gotten in touch with the developer themselves to see if I can make any headway there, but that's as far as I've gotten so far.
Mr. Hamer, you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Two specific questions. One of them has to do with the actual property lines, and exactly how much of that property or that block is Englewood property, if any. And because in some of the drawings, it appeared that along Teaneck, that sliver near the curb on Teaneck seemed to be Englewood property, moving into that block. And I just want to find out for certain, how much of that block is Englewood property, if any at all. And then secondly, this is Alfred Avenue, but it's not related to that apartment building. The proximity of the CBD establishment and in relation to Denning Park, see if the federal statutes, speak to, its ability to operate on that site. And, those are the two main things that, there's two specific questions that I'd like to have answered as soon as possible. However, looking at the activity on the site, because in addition to taking the trees down, they pulled stumps. So they are absolutely serious about, moving this as fast as they can, and as far forward as fast as they can. So whatever we can do to do soil testing or, make sure, whatever, and hopefully there's no leaching, but whatever we can do to determine, if there are any concerns along that line, I'd like for us to start moving to have that done, even if it's a cost to the city of Englewood, to set up testing for soil, just to make sure that what's there is being dealt with. The other thing that I think that's really important, Mr. Cobb, you mentioned the streets that are impacted, but Lafayette should be added into that list. And then, I'm not sure if you said that. It didn't sound like you did, but
No, I didn't, but it should be. Yep.
We do need to look at whatever types of, traffic remedies we have to, maintain and isolate, that property and keep it as a Teaneck property if that's the case, and not provide access to Lafayette as an ingress or egress point. Just make sure whatever remedies are available to us, from a parking or traffic control standpoint, that we need to be prepared to explore, and not wait until this structure's built and ready and operational before we start trying to react to it. I'd like for us to be as proactive as possible and look at every option and put them all on the table and see what makes the most sense.
The one thing, Mr. Hamer, I believe, and Bill and Franz, what I'd like also for you guys to look at is that if they start demolition, those buildings have asbestos and those are very old buildings. How do we protect the air quality and all that stuff for the people who live there? And when they're pile driving and all that kind of stuff, that could shake foundations, crack foundations. So we need to consider all these things with that project. And the also is the safety. That building's going to be 6 stories high. We need to know that that's going to basically block off, and the sight line is going to be, they're not going to have anything, those people on Teaneck Avenue, but we got to protect them. And going back to what Mr. Hamer said, there is a stream that runs along in Denning Park that runs along the back of those things, Mr. Volsi, which and we don't want that to get contaminated in there. I mean, we got the deer and all the kind of animals that drink water in there. And, we have to protect all that stuff there. So, I think that we need to be vigilant and we need to start to get some answers, because if you go by there, you're going to see that they are moving, and they're moving at a speed. So I wouldn't be surprised all of a sudden if we saw a bulldozer or cranes start showing up there next week, tearing down stuff. So I just wanted you gentlemen to please follow up and get whatever information you can get your hands on, so that, by the next time we meet, we can have a discussion about this and get some of your views and to see what's going on.
One other thing, Mr. Cobb, if we can have this as an agenda item, going forward on the agenda, and then have traffic and whomever else we need to bring from this city side to the table to discuss, how we set up things to protect the residents who live in that area, including the Teaneck residents who live in that area. Because hastily as this is being done, just want to make sure that everybody's treated the right way.
Yep. Yancey, can you make sure that we make sure this is added to the agenda for the next meeting? And we'll make sure our traffic professionals are there. And Sonia can make sure that they're there. So we know that, we're looking out for what our traffic and what ideas they may have to help us with this as well. Does anybody else from the council have any questions? Judy?
Well, it's not really a question. Charles and Wayne, I applaud what you've done. I think it's extremely important to look at this project now before the pile drivers arrive on the site. And I think it's incumbent on all of the members of our council to look into all of this. I believe, I don't know enough to know for sure, But I believe it may take litigation to stop this before it goes much further, because they're telling you ahead of time that they're dumping sewage into our lines. I mean, this is what they're telling you. There's a lot they're not telling you. And I looked at that traffic report, which was baloney, but that's not unusual. All I'm saying is, I don't think we should put this off. I'm thrilled that you said it should be on every one of our agendas going forward, and we ought to be prepared for litigation. That's my instinct, that we're going to have to do something to stop this project before it goes any further.
Well, if you ride by there now, you'll see that they're moving. They're moving on it. I mean, I was by there yesterday.
You know, Charles, there's big money involved. And whenever that happens, all I'm
Things
saying
happen.
is we're a very smart town, and we can't allow something like this to happen.
I agree. So more to come. So, and we'll just be vigilant in what we got to do here to protect our residents over there and protect the residents of the city of Englewood. So let's keep at it. You're going to read it now?
If you'd like, yes. Oh, he put his hand back up. Would you like me to let him speak first?
Yes, yes.
James Veach, go ahead. Please unmute.
I want to thank the council for allowing me to speak. And I want to thank you for the concern that you have shown for the residents around Decatur Avenue. I am a 35-year resident of Teaneck, New Jersey, and our council has not shown similar concern for the folks who live in that area. You have two issues here, and they both have come up very quickly over the past year. One is the building, the 255-unit building with 400 additional cars. That came about through a plan for designating this area as an area in need of redevelopment. And of course, some of you already know that suspends a lot of the rules on zoning, et cetera. So it never received full-blown planning board of adjustment treatment. The other is the cannabis. The cannabis district is the product of a 3-person committee created by the council. It's not subject to Open Public Meetings Act. It creates no reports or minutes. This subcommittee created this ordinance, draft ordinance, and presented it at the very end of July. We were facing an August 19th deadline. By the time the residents understood what was happening, there was some opposition, but they really were blindsided. I'm urging you to stay on this because the water from this area is going to roll right downhill into your town. And you are going to bear the burdens that this cannabis district will bring. And I do reject the idea that this is going to bring millions and millions of dollars to the township of Teaneck. I think this is a pipe dream, no pun intended. I'm urging you to stay on this issue, and other Teaneck residents will come out supporting you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yancy?
Thank you, Mr. Veach.